Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Indeed we do. A whole lot going on here in this town this week. So we've got the fallout from the shutdown deal that came together over the weekend. Kevin McCarthy's job is on the line. Matt Gaetz's job on the line. Big old GOP civil war. So we'll break that down for you. We also have some updates with regard to Ukraine. An anti-Ukraine politician elected in a NATO country. What does that mean for the future of that war moving forward? RFK Jr. announcing that he's going to make a big announcement, and it looks like that big announcement is going to be that he is exiting the Democratic primary and running as an independent. What will the fallout from that be? That'll be an interesting one as well. And we've got numbers from the last debate, the last Republican debate. They're historic, but perhaps not in a good Fox Business wanted them to be historically low ratings. Also, Jamal Bowman caught on camera pulling a fire alarm for certain reasons. We'll get into all of that. But before we get to any of that, I want to thank all of you guys for the support that you've been showing to us, premium subscribers, and we have a big announcement. Saagar,
yes,
you want to do the big reveal?
We can officially make the announcement. Our next focus group is going to be in the city of Atlanta with Democratic voters. We're going to ask them about Biden. We're going to ask him about primary challengers, about his age. We're going to have a multiracial demographic, people who have voted before, not, all kinds of stuff that's very representative of that critical battleground state for the president. And I think it's going to be really interesting, Krystal, to see. We keep seeing poll after poll. Everyone says he thinks he's too old, but I want to hear it from them in their own words, what they think about the president. And these are people, again, who are Democratic voters and how they think about the primary process and also about how somebody's going to face Trump.
Yes, and Georgia is a state that obviously the Democratic Party is really elevated, very focused on. Joe Biden won it last time around, so that's really important. How are they feeling about the promises he made versus how he has been in office? How do they feel like their lives are going under the Biden administration? And, you know, I don't think it'll be any surprise if you have a number of people who want to go in a different direction, but do they have any names in mind? Because that's the thing. You see a lot of polling that's like, okay, people want other alternatives to Joe Biden, but when they're pushed on who do you actually want, they struggle to come up with answers. So
that's right.
There's no substitute from just hearing from voters in their own words. So we're really, really excited about that. And again, thank you so much to premium subscribers for making all of that happen.
You guys are making it possible. So if you can sign up at breakingpoints.com, we're actually going to elevate the production level. So it's going to cost even more money than last time around. But that's what we do here. It got a lot of attention last time around, not only for us for the show, but really I think it helped inform a lot of you about how people think. So once again, you can become a premium subscriber. You can go ahead and support that. breakingpoints.com, not BP. And we will, we're really excited to bring all of it to you. It's next week, literally. So you'll be seeing it very soon.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so we also have big breaking news this morning before we get into the Republican chaos civil war situation. Gavin Newsom, California governor, has made his announcement about who he is appointing to that seat that was made open by Dianne Feinstein's death. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. He announced on Twitter, "I am proud to announce California's new United States Senator LaFonza Butler. As we mourn the enormous loss of Senator Feinstein, the very freedom she fought for, reproductive freedom, equal protection, safety from gun violence, have never been under greater assault. LaFonza has spent her entire career fighting for women and girls and has been a fierce advocate for working people. She will make history, becoming the first Black lesbian to openly serve in the United States Senate. From her time as president of Emily's List to leading the state's largest labor union, she has always stood up for what is right and has led with her heart and her values. I have no doubt she will carry the baton left by Senator Feinstein, continue to break glass ceilings, and fight for all Californians in Washington." Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about LaFonza Butler that is left out of that in just a moment, but just to remind you of the backstory here. So there was already an ongoing Democratic primary to fill Dianne Feinstein's seat because she was planning on retiring at the end of that term. There are three major Democratic contenders there. Adam Schiff, who is the choice of Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic establishment, Katie Porter, and Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee being, a solid progressive. Katie Porter also being a progressive, but Barbara Lee being a sort of historic Black woman. Gavin Newsom had previously indicated that if the seat became available, he would appoint a Black woman. So Barbara Lee has the backing, this is actually very unusual, the backing of the Congressional Black Caucus and the backing of all the progressives. Very unusual, you see those two groups united. But instead of going in that direction, which is not what Nancy Pelosi wants and not what the donors want, he instead picks LaFonza Butler. So he is correct. She was the head of a labor union, SEIU, one of the large locals in California. I'll put this up on the screen. A few things that are left out. After she left that position as head of that labor union, she basically sold out to a bunch of big California corporate interests. She became a lobbyist for Airbnb and was advising Uber on their fight to basically screw over their drivers. So that's the side that she picked in those battles. She was a Hillary Clinton supporter in 2016. She is a close Kamala Harris advisor, advised her on her 2020 campaign. So very solidly in the establishment camp. And there is one other complicating factor here, which is she doesn't actually live in California at the moment.
Really?
She, as head of Emily's List, which is a sort of like very establishment-friendly, pro-woman Democratic Party organization here in D.C., she moved to the D.C. area, put this up on the screen. Newsom had to respond to this because a lot of people were like, hey, maybe you should pick someone who lives in California. She lives in Maryland right now. Newsom says she moved to D.C. area for Emily's List, but is a longtime California resident and homeowner, and she will re-register in California before being sworn in. So bottom line of all of this is a Newsom-Pelosi Schiff play to screw over Barbara Lee is basically the bottom line.
100%. Except for Adam Schiff, who's livid, of course. He actually sent out an email this morning saying, hey, just so you guys remember, I have $32 million cash on hand for a Democratic primary.
He's still hoping to end up in this seat.
Right,
ultimately.
and they also adjusted the rules, Krystal, just yesterday. There was some talk of anybody who was appointed and would not be able to run for said seat in 2024, so they were wondering whether Barbara Lee would even want it. But Gavin Newsom adjusted the rules at the last minute. He's like, no, they'll be allowed to run for that 2024 seat. So look, I mean, it's very difficult whenever you're already the sitting senator to not win said primary, especially in a state like California where it's like the top two and all that. Maybe Adam Schiff will be able to, but at the same time, he's going to face a tremendous amount of pressure from the Democratic establishment not to challenge a black woman, a Kamala Harris ally. She does have something in common in terms of her Uber advisement. Don't forget that Kamala Harris's brother-in-law took in $12 million in 2020 from Uber. He was actually their top legal counsel. I do remember covering some of that.
Isn't that lovely?
So, you know, it's all about fulfilling the people who came before them, and that's certainly what it is. I mean, Newsom, you know, he kind of boxed himself to a corner because California Democratic Party people were livid he didn't appoint a black woman to replace Kamala Harris. So this is, I guess, why he made that pledge should Feinstein step down. Biggest loser out of this is definitely Adam Schiff and Barbara Lee. But Barbara Lee, I mean, really, I mean, I'm not going to say she had a quote lock, but like she was one of the leading candidates. This woman's name was never even mentioned in some of the top 5 lists and all of that. And I think it's just a clear indication of Newsom sucking up to the National Democratic Party, Harris in particular, and all of that, setting himself up for a potential national run in 2028.
It's that, and it's making the play for the donors.
Yeah.
And that's always, because sometimes Gavin Newsom, you're looking at these moves he's making in California, like, this seems contradictory. Like, oh, you just signed this law that will give fast food workers $20 an hour. That's awesome. Oh, you just vetoed this other law that would, like, protect Teamsters jobs, and you vetoed this other law that would have given striking workers overtime pay. The bottom line for Gavin Newsom is, what do the tech donors and what do the Hollywood donors want from him? And obviously, LaFonza Butler was a friend to Uber, was a literal lobbyist for Airbnb, so she is very good to go with that critical donor class. He wants to run for president. He's going to need to raise a boatload of money. And so his top priority is to service their interests. And I think LaFonza Butler, you know, it's also just like a classic Democratic Party shameless identity play.
Of course.
First black lesbian woman.
Okay.
Like, okay, but tell me about what she stands for on policy.
So how many of these firsts are we going to invent, too?
What's that?
How many of these firsts are we going to invent? It's always like, oh, the first black woman, the first black gay woman. It's like, I'm just like, look, I don't care, all right? I want to know what this lady's going to do.
Right. What is she going to do for other black lesbian women? You know, like, what are her policies? Who has she sold out? I mean, that is really kind of disgusting. Using your labor leader credentials to, like, sell out your own movement is, in my opinion, an extra level of grotesque. But anyway, congratulations, newly appointed Senator LaFonza Butler.
Here's the one improvement: she can breathe and she thinks. So, you know, it's like it's
she
an
will
improvement.
Probably know that she is a United States Senator, which is unlike Dianne Feinstein.
General improvement for the state of California. So congratulations, you guys just got your constituent services back.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.